About 12 months ago, on February the 9th, 2020 to be exact, I was travelling between two local towns, Pelsall and Cannock. There was a bit of a storm going on, and I thought it would be interesting to keep the dashcam footage. Whilst I was driving, The World This Weekend was on, and they were not only talking about the storm, but they were talking about this pandemic that maybe was going to happen. I think it makes quite interesting watching now. Have a look.
Welcome to The World This Weekend. This is Mark Mardell. Storm Ciara batters Britain. Gale force winds, heavy rain and flood warnings. We'll have the latest. The coronavirus is now a bigger killer than SARS. How worried should we be about potential pandemics?
The storm is sweeping across the country and it's causing huge disruption. Ferry services, including at the port of Dover, have been suspended as coastal areas bear the brunt of the severe gales and heavy rain. Airlines have cancelled dozens of domestic and international flights. Significant problems have also been reported on the trains. Network Rail has imposed a 50-mile-per-hour limit across the network. Several rail firms have urged passengers not to travel. The heavy rain has brought flooding to some areas, and the strong winds have brought trees and branches down onto roads, prompting Highways England to warn motorists to watch out for debris on carriageways. A fourth person in the UK has tested positive for the coronavirus and is now being treated in hospital in London. More than 150 people who flew to Britain from China this morning have been taken to a hotel for quarantine.
While the number of new cases has dropped slightly, 811 people have now died from coronavirus, all but one in China itself. This is now more than those who were killed by SARS after the epidemic in 2004. Black Death made more land available, boosted wages and undermined serfdom. Maybe now we have more power in the face of plague's ability to reshape history. But the scale is still alarming. The Spanish flu in 1920 killed between 50 million and 100 million people, more than the First World War. But the coronavirus doesn't feel like that. Just over 800 people have died so far. Compare that to swine fever in 2009, which it's thought killed 200,000 around the world. Head of virology at the Erasmus Medical Centre in the Netherlands, Marion Koopmans, has worked with the World Health Organization. How worried should we be?
Worried is a big word, but I think we need to prepare for that. I think this is another example of the kind of situation we have been seeing repeatedly now, where a virus from the animal world spills over into people, and what really has changed a lot is then the opportunity for spreading, because we are a global village. The world is very much connected, so if that happens, the chances for further spread have very much increased. The global connections are good, but that also means we have to rethink how we prepare for these kinds of outbreaks.
But how worried should we be about pandemics in general? The Cambridge Centre for Existential Risks, Danny Ralph.
Interestingly enough, and this is based on some cities work that we did, we have something called the Cambridge Global Risk Index. The cities work suggests in the past 5 years that something like a global pandemic we're actually better positioned for 2020 than we were in 2015, and much better positioned for than we were in 2003, which was back in the day of SARS. We've pulled together as a global community. So if you sort of dig into the way the World Health Organization, but not only, and I'm talking about governments, local and national, international, have pooled efforts in thinking about Ebola, you'll notice that that's quite a joined up process today compared with several years ago. In terms of economic damage, which is not quite the same thing as saying will civilization collapse, but in terms of economic damage, our cities work suggests that they're about number 4 after things like market crashes, interstate conflict. But we still live in a world where there are natural, what you might call accidents, that generate a Zika or an Ebola or a coronavirus. And this will keep happening.
At the end of the programme, a guy called Alan Johnson came on. He was once the NHS secretary under Labour. The interviewer asked him about the prediction that maybe, possibly, 55,000 people might be killed in some pandemic in the UK. And Alan said, well, that was an absolute worst case scenario. can't imagine that ever happening. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Thanks for watching.